My name is Josh Porthouse with Porthouse Tampa Bay Realtor. I am your local blue-collar realtor here in Pasco County, and the reason we're doing this video is to ensure that you have a better understanding as a homeowner. There are things you can do on your own to ensure that you're taking care of and maintaining your HVAC system. Why is that important? Because it costs money to have a technician come out, and it can cost you more money when you go to sell your home if there's HVAC issues in the form of concessions when it comes to a buyer. So this particular house has a float switch that should be cutting off the air handler. The problem is it's not connected. And so when we took the front paneling off to double check and see why it wasn't doing that, here's a problem. See, there's a float down here, okay? And this switch runs through this line here. And this is just like an extension cable cord that runs up here. Well, these two wires are the two ends that connect all the way down to there. Now, they were not connected. So what we're going to do is with the power off, which it currently is, we are going to take these red lines right here, which impact our power. We've got a thicker gauge here, so a lower gauge wire, and that's actually coming from our relay in the back and our inline fuse here, which in this case is 5 amps. And then we've got these two little ones. One goes to the power for our thermostat upstairs, one goes to the power for our thermostat downstairs. Technically speaking, they both go to the control panel upstairs, and from there they're routed out. What we're going to do, though, is, because this is just a single pole switch, we don't have to worry about a negative or a ground. It'll be taken care of and absorbed by the system naturally. So what we're going to do is tie in one end of the wire to our incoming, so it runs through down into the switch, and then back up into these two little power ones. Now we're going to add wire nuts onto each one of these to ensure that everything is protected and it doesn't short itself out, because that would defeat the whole point of trying to fix this system. And then we'll cut the power back on and make sure the float works. Okay, so we've got wire nuts on, these two orange ones right here, the ones we just put on. We're going to come down here to our breaker. That's our main power, with power coming in from the house, the box in the garage. And then it runs up through this flexible conduit, which comes down here into the power and ground. Our heating strips relayed into the transformer in the back to distribute power to our blower motor, and up in here to distribute through to our control panel and thermostat, which in this case, we just added our float switch. So we want to make sure it's pushed down, the black piece right here, as opposed to up. Well, let me leave it in there, but as opposed to up. You see that? Up, down. So we're going to make sure it's down. That's going to ensure that there is no contact. Everything's fine, because it's basically like a pressure plate. Now that we've ensured all of our connections are actually back in, we make sure there's no wiring, no harnesses, no nothing in the way of the fan. Everything else is safe and out of the way, and it's not going to get sucked in because air is going to be moving through here. And once the cover's on, it forms a vacuum that pushes all of the cool air up into your blower for distribution back out into the house. Or it's going to, based on the switch in the control panel, turn your outdoor condenser into an outdoor evaporator, and it's going to ensure that the heated air comes through here instead. Kick on the power. What we also have to do is ensure that we turn on the fan. Okay, here we go, fan on. So we just heard was a click here at the upstairs thermostat. We see a click here on the control panel, which means that green light, fan turned on in zone 1, which is upstairs, because it's off downstairs, which is zone 2 in this particular house. And we'll go over here. Now you can hear the fan is on. Nothing is shorted, nothing is going, right? But what's happening is, and you can see down here the wires are moving a little bit, that's because that blower motor is sucking air into here and pushing it up out through the house. So, test 1. Now, because we've pulled the float switch, if it weren't connected to the heater with those red lines, it would cut off the heater and just leave the fan going. However, what we also didn't have before is that red LED. Because the heat's not on and only the fan is on, as long as the light turns on and shuts off when we push it down, boom, our float switch is installed. So again, my name is Josh Porthouse with Porthouse Tampa Bay Realtor. I am your local blue-collar realtor here in Pasco County. When you plan to sell, you got to prep to sell. And if you want more information, let's talk about our pre-listing audit through Blue Collar Home Group Consulting. Head over to bluecollarhomegroup.com, select Contact Us, and get in touch. Thanks, guys.